company. It is one of the first billion-dollar baby companies that was identified almost 4 years ago.
I see.
When this program was conceived by BV Raju Reddy within the context of TIE.
And what do they do? What is
And
Seclor?
Seclor is a security company. They basically have a security platform that provides enterprise level security for their content
Okay.
that goes beyond the boundaries of the secure boundaries of the corporate. So a Zoom,
I
for
see.
example, is a document that has intellectual property in some shape or form that is sent outside and shared with others. And they share it with others. So in that context, they make sure that it is still protected.
I see.
So they have had some incredible traction over the last couple of years. Very excited that they're a part of the FalconX ecosystem.
They are Indian entrepreneurs.
They are Indian entrepreneurs.
And
so
they
this is
came
the
all the
example.
way here.
They were identified as a billion-dollar company.
Oh, wow. And
Way
how do you
back.
do that?
Well, that's the secret sauce.
Secret
right?
sauce.
No,
Okay, all right.
it is an important question. We do keep an eye on the various ecosystems around the world, and as entrepreneurs that have been working with startups in India and here, Raju Reddy and BV have been pioneers in actually making that. They've actually saw that gap,
Right.
and they saw the opportunity to bridge it, and so the concept of the startup bridge that bought these companies over happened. They started off as a non-profit entity, and that continues their journey. We, on the other hand, are taking it another level further,
I see.
where we actually bring these companies not just from the ecosystem of startups in the valley, but around the world.
So, they are from India, and you house them here. And
Yeah, they
what
are.
kind of support do you give? Because this will be like a dream for any Indian entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I mean, they're
to be
not the only startup that is out here from India. We have Quantella that is also
You
from
have
India.
Quantella.
Quantella is another
Startup, okay.
startup that is basically providing global smart city governance as a platform to
wow.
manage.
Oh gosh.
So they're big partners with Cisco and various other companies that actually provide the infrastructure for smart cities, but these guys are a layer on top that provide that governance capability. And I
What
think
kind
I
of
might.
governance is this like? you're talking
So
about?
again, that I think would be a good question for
Okay.
Sridhar, who's the CEO of the company. But they are beginning to now get some substantial traction all around the world.
I see.
And so for many of these startups that have reached a certain threshold with success in India are suddenly increasing their thirst to become global startups.
This is amazing. Yeah. So, there's this concept called reverse innovation. You innovate in India, and then you modify the product or whatever you're building to suit the non-Indian ecosystem.
Absolutely.
But you're out here, then how are you handling the local, the knowledge which you get only by residing in the local
No,
infrastructure?
it's a very
or-
good question, but you have to understand over the years, the last 5 years specifically, what we've seen is there are a lot of venture capital firms and angel investors that have gone to India, set up firms. They took a little bit of that knowledge of the ecosystem here in the valley,
Right.
and they started to mature the startups there in India.
I see.
And
I see.
and so it took a couple of iterations of it. We're beginning to now see, and I think
Right.
we're going to see a steady flow that continues to increase.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
for that, FalconX is actually a formal platform for these companies to come here and make sure they're not entering a completely new ecosystem with no
Yeah.
knowledge of how to, conquer that, landscape. We provide that, what I would call guidance.
So you're bridging the from Indian ecosystem. You're helping them launch into a global ecosystem.
Absolutely.
So that
And-
knowledge outside of Indian ecosystem, that you get, a part of it is Silicon Valley, being in Silicon Valley, because this is like centroid, it attracts all kinds of.
Absolutely. And it's not just from India. We have companies from Korea, we have companies
Oh,
from
wow.
Japan, from Germany.
Is that in your secret sauce as well?
No, so the whole idea is that Silicon Valley has a different view depending on who you speak to in the valley itself.
Yeah.
What we do is we are 9 serial entrepreneurs that have actually built companies here in the valley, successfully exited, multiple times. So we understand the ecosystem far better than most people that probably just running companies or whatever it is. And not to take that credit away from them, but we do understand it at a level and detail that
Yeah.
is very, very helpful for these startups.
Yeah.
So that is very, very key for them. And when they come here, they don't have to worry. We have, let's say, a single window system to ensure that the administrative and legal and other challenges are met, so they can continue to focus on product,
Itself.
building out
Okay,
and
okay.
making sure. So in that context, what we do is, because we have an extensive, vibrant network
Yeah.
of peers
Networking
in the
yes,
industry,
in the industry, right?
we invite
Right.
them. We don't do warm introduction. We don't say,
Yeah.
here, would you like to meet one of our companies or founders or so on. So we actually bring them together in a neutral ecosystem here,
Right.
and then we facilitate the meetings,
Right.
one-on-one.
Yeah.
That gives them, we curate it. We actually help these startups to actually make sure that they're ready to do that.
Awesome. So what's a typical day like? What's a typical day like for somebody who's do they come here every day, or do they come here once a week, or is this
No, it
like
all
a
depends.
meeting space? Or
Some companies meet here every day, all the time.
all the time?
Some companies, it depends on where they are. They're
Where they
probably
are,
out doing pilots. Small startups, the whole team is there.
Right.
And sometimes the team is a team of two or team of one. In fact,
Yeah.
Amar here, for instance, is a team of one. He's got
Okay.
a team in India, and he's out, helping through the pilots they have
I
in
see.
the various
Nice.
industry segments.
So, if you look at a typical chart for incubator or accelerator on the internet, and what it is they do and how they compete with venture studios, there's something called, it looks like you're doing early stage, late, mid stage, you're doing
Well,
everything
we,
here.
we specialize in a pre-series A, but
Pre-series
several of
A.
our companies are series A as well. We're not an accelerator in that definition. Our accelerator definition is we accelerate everything that the startup's milestones are. So if something needs to be done in a couple of 6 months or a year,
Yeah.
we help them accelerate those milestones.
So what is acceleration in this ecosystem? What do you mean by acceleration?
It could be in the context of raising money, in the
Raising
context
money,
of revenues, in the
revenue.
context of getting more deals.
Getting more
so
deals.
That's what we help them with.
I see.
So that's why it's a interesting combination of incubation
Yeah.
with the acceleration. part.
Acceleration.
So
Very interesting.
We don't push them out until they actually grow out of this place.
So why haven't you so this is very interesting. So that's why this is one of a kind.
It is one of a kind.
It's
It's
one of a
something
kind.
that we saw as a gap when we were entrepreneurs.
So what
We
would-
didn't have
Yeah,
this,
this.
to help us out. And
So-
so it was conceived in that context that the early stage startups have to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And if they had guidance from some of the experiences that we've gathered over the years,
Right.
they don't have to commit those mistakes. They can commit new mistakes, and then we can help them out with that.
Okay.
That being said, some of those mistakes don't ever have to be committed at all. I mean,
Yeah.
they can be. In addition to
Product
that,
market
these
fit and-
entrepreneurs,
yeah, that kind of
they
stuff.
go through a lot of difficulty, both in the context of raising money or doing deals or even scaling.
Yeah.
At that time, they need guidance,
Right.
so that they just don't fall off the rails.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I was just reading this book. Ray Dalio has this book. He has principles for success or whatever. And then there's another book about debt. How the boom and bust cycles occur. So his main thesis is, how do you know what you know is right or wrong? How do you know whether your decision is right or wrong? So what is the intelligence which you use to drive
I
your
think
decisions?
that's a good one. I don't think there's a rule or a formula into which you plug certain things in, and then voila, you get a AI answer that tells
Yeah.
you that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I think there's an element of intuition that experience helps you with.
Right.
And we have had experiences in different areas of the industry. So in my case, I've had experience building companies in the fintech space.
Right.
I've invested in companies that focus on fintech platforms.
Right.
Likewise, if you look at my co-founding team, they go from semiconductor, microprocessor,
Yeah.
IoT, all the
Yeah.
way to cloud, infrastructure,
Yeah.
security. I mean, you
Yeah.
name it, right?
Yeah.
Where we may not have the skill sets, because of our network, we're in a position to bring in what we call mentors to work with us and help these startups. But one very key differentiator is, in what we have, each
Yeah.
of my 9 co-founding members
Yeah.
commits their time. And my job is to make sure that they meet their commitment.
Okay.